We got some of the biggest reveals in the Hogwarts Legacy gameplay showcase. It was 46 minutes of gameplay and talk through from representatives at Avalanche who are working on the game, including a reveal that NPC interactions could change the ending of the story that we get in-game. Welcome back to WizardPhD, I'm Professor Lynette, and today we are looking at those NPC interactions that we got to see in the gameplay showcase for Hogwarts Legacy, including some of those quest givers, dialogue options, whether we're going to be sassy or not to them. Let's break it all down. My initial reaction to watching the showcase was that there are students literally everywhere, so it led me to a question: how many students are actually at Hogwarts in 1890? I took a quick glance at the cinematics in the original reveal trailer for Hogwarts Legacy, and you can see there aren't really that many students around here. But if you look at the same shot entering into the Great Hall in the State of Play, you see lots more students here. So I'm just estimating, but based on this view, it appears that we are halfway down the Great Hall, so the table is probably double length. There are 4 tables, 1 for each house. I'm gonna estimate that there's 25 on each side of the table, meaning 50 per house. And for the 4 houses, that leaves us with about 200 students. I have no idea how accurate this estimation is, but I do find it funny that many large high schools have a greater graduating class than 200 at students, so the entire student body at Hogwarts, but they don't have a castle with full grounds, which leads me to wonder, you have all of this space, how are there students just everywhere around every corner? I'm just gonna ignore that and say that it works, whatever number is actually in Hogwarts, and we're gonna encounter them. Some students are quest givers, and some it appears that we can interact with. So in the common room shots, you can see a little icon that you can possibly interact with students there, but it's unclear if we can talk to every student in the game. I know I want to, though. At the very least, I'm hoping that we'll get to hear plenty of background chatter and catchphrases, because that's something that I love, is having different personalities around me in games.
The next round is for all the gobstones, so to speak.
As the Hogwarts Legacy team took us on a tour of Hogwarts, the first student that we got to speak with is Nellie Oggspire. I couldn't find any connection to existing Wizarding World lore with the name Oggspire, but Nellie is in a predicament. She is caught up thinking about the Daedalian keys.
I'm Nellie, by the way. I'm just so excited that the Daedalian keys are back.
The what keys?
This is such a classic, we're the hero, chosen one, but we also don't know what the hell is going on here response. Also, Daedalian is a descriptor that means intricate. It also is likely named for Greek mythology, with Daedalus, who is an inventor, an architect, and the first person to achieve heavier than air flight. And that kind of makes sense. You have the connection, or at least the nod, to flying keys in the Harry Potter stories, and now we have these Daedalian keys that we're looking for.
Rumour is that a former headmistress, Professor Mole, conjured them to protect the contents of certain locked cabinets years ago. Professor Black couldn't be bothered to disenchant the keys, and they appear every few years.
All right, I have some questions. So first of all, you're telling me that a former head of Hogwarts locked away some secret contents that can only be opened by these Daedalian keys? And are those things, is it related to knowledge? We have in the Greek mythology, Daedalus is connected to wisdom, knowledge, and power. On the other hand, why would the Wizarding World care about Greek mythology? But we know that stories are inspired by all these myths and legends, so it could fit. And you're telling me that Professor Black, who is likely the headmaster of Hogwarts, Phineas Nigellus Black, can't possibly be bothered to disenchant these keys, probably because he is the least liked headmaster of all time and hates his job, and we're just living with it and it just happens every few years? This sounds like a job for students.
You should try to catch one.
Why would I do that?
Or not, we're the chosen one. Maybe we're like, nah, we're good. Don't want to go search for some keys.
Each key will lead you to a locked cabinet somewhere in the castle. If you can manage to get the key into the cabinet lock, not an easy task, you may find a reward.
This description was really interesting to me because it seems like some sort of dexterity challenge. I'm not sure if we're using some form of Wingardium Leviosa to try to maneuver it. Maybe we have to fit the key in, or I don't know what spells we're going to be using, but that's what it sounded like to me, is we're wrangling keys and trying to shove them into the lock to be like, hey, open, give me your reward. Also, just ignore that kid in the back. I mean, we clearly can't be bothered to turn around and see if that kid is okay. I'm sure they're fine.
Perhaps I'll give it a go.
I hope you do. In fact, I think I heard one of the keys in the astronomy tower. You should listen for them.
Now, this was the first NPC interaction that they showed us in the showcase, and Alan, too, gave us a big drop when he said this.
Different interactions with different characters can also offer different choice points for the player, and then some of those things can affect things game-wide. Some of these affect characters' lives, the ending of the game.
So you're telling me that my interactions with some random people are going to impact the entire ending of Hogwarts Legacy? Well, I don't think that Daedalian keys fit it up there in terms of, yes, this is gonna have a major impact on the game and story, but let's keep looking at some more NPCs. Next up, we meet Zenobia Noke, who is a younger student. She is a first year who is 11 years old.
I wanted to make some new friends, and so I brought my collection down to the common room. My gobstone collection, that is. I was hoping someone would want to play.
Okay, first of all, I'm obsessed with her. She's just a little tiny girl. We gotta be nice to her, right?
Leander Pruitt's one of the worst, that no-talent moon mind.
This name drop, Leander Pruitt, is part of the Pruitt family, a member of the Sacred 28, pure-blooded witches and wizards. Also, fun fact, Molly Weasley is part of the Pruitt family as well, so she is a descendant, likely, of Leander, who appears to be a bully. Unfortunately, it was also revealed during the showcase that we won't be able to play gobstones in Hogwarts Legacy, nor will we be able to play wizard chess, even though they are mentioned in narrative form, as we're seeing in this dialogue.
Imelda is one of the worst losers. Everett and Astoria are terrible as well. And now those poor losers have taken my gobstones and hidden them in very high places all over the school.
I mean, technically these kids are losers because they lost the game. I just think that Zenobia needs a little training of like, okay, maybe we don't say that in front of them or call them that. We should, treat it a little differently in conversation. I have a poll going on and people have some mixed vibes going on with Zenobia, whether they think that she's just, a random girl who's getting bullied, whether she's a mean girl, or if she has like some criminal mastermind and she's playing us all. And in the debriefing, we were told that this is not the only opportunity to be mean to NPCs, so we'll see which ones rub me the wrong way and I'm gonna be rude to. Though I have to keep in mind now, what if it affects the ending of the game? Also, I don't think this girl is the Ravenclaw companion, and I really don't think us being mean to her for the gobstone situation is going to affect the ending of the game. If she weren't a first year 11-year-old, I might say, yeah, she's gonna be like a big problem later on, but she's just a kid. It's fine. Moving right along, we get to see the Cross Wands Secret Dueling Club, which apparently is not actually secret. All the professors know, but like the kids think it's cool and think that they're being sneaky snakes, and so that's really cute to me. We meet Lucan Brattleby, who also doesn't have an obvious connection to Wizarding World families. I haven't found anything or any connections there. He also appears to be younger than us and is really enthusiastic. He seems to be doing a good job running this club.
If you need to stop practicing before you finish all of them, let me know.
I'll go into combat in more depth in another video, but here in the showcase, we got to see some dueling practice with a dummy, and we also got to see an actual duel where we are battling 3 other witches and wizards. There appears to be an option to duel with a partner, and at this point, and you can kind of see them in the background, we have Sebastian and Natsai that are there, and they come up as options, but we didn't get to see that. So we dueled alone against Constance Dagworth, who is a Ravenclaw, Hector Jenkins, who is a Gryffindor, and Nerita Roberts, who is a Slytherin. When I was looking into the surname Dagworth, I did find one entry for Hector Dagworth Granger, who was a famous potioneer, and actually Slughorn asked Hermione if she was related to him, so it's possible that Constance is related to Hector Dagworth Granger. In terms of the Jenkins family, Hector could be related to Eugenia Jenkins, who was a former minister for magic and also potentially has descendants in the more modern day wizarding world. And my favorite part about this is that Nerita Roberts is just in the background. I know she's Slytherin, but she's also silent. She's not trash talking anyone. She's just there to duel and that's it. Again, I'm gonna dive deeper into combat more specifically in another video, but at the very end, there is this shot where we are battling outside of Hogwarts, and it appears that we are fighting an Ashwinder Scout and an Ashwinder Ranger, both of whom are level 18. And we seem to be faring pretty well for ourselves. Interestingly enough, the Ashwinder was a magical serpent that actually existed in the wizarding world. And this serpent is kind of wild. They only live for an hour, and during that time, they find a dark place to lay their eggs, and apparently those eggs are very valuable and can be used in love potions. So I could totally see this group that we're fighting as hunters, poachers, I don't know what they're up to, but they could be searching out these Ashwinder eggs to sell on the black market. This also makes me wonder whether we'll be able to actually talk to them or if we just straight up go into battle. Like, can we charisma out of this and be like, oh yeah, I'll help you look for some eggs and let's work together. But secretly, I'm going to use the Imperious Curse on you for my advantage. I don't know, but I think it would be interesting to see how those conversations with enemies play out, if at all. Now, I want to revisit this idea of changing the ending of Hogwarts Legacy. So, which NPCs could be consequential in our conversations? He was mentioned earlier by Nellie, but I think our relationship with the headmaster could be important. So, Professor Black, we're having conversations with him, just kind of like Harry has conversations with Dumbledore, and those conversations are important. So if we can talk to the headmaster, maybe what we choose to say to them is very important for the ending of the story. On a similar note of official people, potentially the Minister for Magic. So at this point in time in 1890, we have Ferris Spavin as the minister during this time. I'm not sure if we're exactly working with the ministry or if the ministry knows of us, or maybe we're connected to the ministry through Fig. But regardless, if we have conversations with ministry officials, I'm sure that might have consequences, only because like they're important in the wizarding world and could be tied up with the politics of everything, especially with the Goblin Rebellion. And that leads me to Professor Fig, who seems very important. He's in a lot of shots with us. He is connecting us with this idea of the Goblin Rebellion and potentially thinking that we can do something to stop it. My big question, though, with all of these officials, and particularly with Professor Fig, is whether there are options in the dialogue for us to select where we lie to him. Because if we have that option, Harry lies to people all the time, you know, he didn't tell people, oh, hey, my scar is hurting or whatever, you know, and that had some consequences, or at least it delayed what could have been addressed earlier. So I wonder if that's an option, if we can lie or actively deceive or omit the truth, that sort of stuff, and if that has an impact on the story. There's also thinking about Ranrok or any other of the enemies. If we have Rookwood, do we have conversations directly with them? Can we be deceptive with those enemies? And then, of course, we have the companions, which is kind of up in the air for me in terms of how that ties in with the story. And in particular, it's because we know that companion side quests can be entirely optional. So, for example, Sebastian's Dark Legacy, we don't have to do that. We don't have to do the dark arts. We don't have to cast Crucio or Unforgivable Curses or anything like that. However, maybe they're optional because they do have an impact on the story. And so the option is like, well, we don't know what ending you're getting, so play with the companions and make these choices, and then you'll see where did that lead you down your path. So if we're going dark arts, maybe we're going to get a different ending than if we don't go dark arts, or if we hang out with Poppy all the time, that's probably going to be related. I don't know. I go back and forth between whether it matters or it doesn't with the companions. And also, if we do Sebastian's quest, does that block us out from potential options for the other companions or other NPCs that we interact with? So like, let's say we get a reputation of being a dark arts user, then maybe some people don't have an option to be friendly with. And that could be interesting. It could be interesting if those options are there but grayed out, like we can't select them. Or maybe they're just not even visible for us to choose at all. I don't know. And overall, there is a question of what does it mean to have differences in the conclusion of Hogwarts Legacy or in the ending? So is it a visual difference? So when we have our final cutscene, we're gonna have all of our heroes lined up, all of our friends lined up, but oh hey, Fig's not there because we made a series of choices that led to his demise, you know? Or is it drastically different endings, that I would get one ending and someone else would get a completely different ending, and we would be able to see through our choices, hey, that's how that happened. This gameplay showcase left me with lots of excitement and lots of questions. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about these NPCs. If you think that you have an idea of some consequential NPCs in terms of we say something to them and that impacts our ending, let me know who you think and what sorts of options you think would be available to us. And of course, let me know what your favorites were of the NPCs we did see so far. I'm telling you, I am protecting that Ravenclaw girl with my entire life, no matter what. She could be a bully, but I feel like I could mentor her, you know? Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, Juan's ready.